What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Dracula, new miniseries on Netflix. I myself personally am not a big vampire fan. It's not a genre of like horror that's really interesting to me. Unlike like zombies and there's other monster genre type things that can be, and there are some interesting vampire movies. There was one that was set up in like Alaska or the North Pole or something like that. 30 Days of Night, which was kind of fun, kind of interesting. But in general, I'm not a huge fan. Interview with a Vampire isn't a movie high up on my list of favorite movies. I've never seen any part of the Twilight franchise, which is kind of the big popular one. So it's just not a story or a thing that I'm kind of it's in my wheelhouse necessarily. But I heard good things about Dracula, the miniseries, and it was just a miniseries. It's not like a full season, like not a full show. Kind of like yeah, what was that one? First Blood? Not First Blood. Yeah, what was that? There was an HBO vampire show. True Blood. I watched maybe the first season. It was okay. And it was an interesting take on the vampire mythology, which this, I would say, especially episode 3 of this miniseries, does kind of a similar thing. It really grounds the Dracula mythos in some kind of reality. But let's start off. It's a 3-part series. Starts off in 1897 Transylvania, where Dracula is old and decrepit, and there's this guy that's going there to I forget what he's going there initially. But he ends up being convinced to stay there, and the whole episode is told interview style, almost like interrogation style, where this guy who was living with Dracula is telling these two nuns, his story and what happened to him because they found him. They're actually trying to verify these stories that he told that he wrote while he was in there. They're trying to verify these stories. So it's just premise wise, it's awesome. The Dolly Wells, who plays Sister Agatha, amazing. Like, as far as like a nun or any kind of religious character, it's another kind of horror trope that I'm pretty exhausted on, is the whole religious side of it. Like, I'm not religious. I'm agnostic at best. But there's a huge genre, a huge chunk of like horror movies are only at all scary if you believe in the Christian Bible, which includes, the devil, quote unquote. Like, if I don't believe in that, like, a lot of Christians think like that people that don't believe in their shit are like devil worshippers or whatever. But it's like, if I don't believe in your book, then I'm not believing in the bad guy in your book either. It's just kind of a weird. They're stuck in their own universe. But in this case, the nun, Sister Agatha, is amazing. She is a ball buster. She herself is like doesn't believe in shit, but she's determined to try and find proof that there is a God. Just as a character, just one of my favorite nuns I've ever seen, aside from Sister Act, which is a completely different tonally type of movie. And these episodes do kind of play out as 3 separate movies. They're all about 90 minutes long. So it's almost like a trilogy of movies. If I were to rank these as far as if they were a trilogy, I would say the first episode is by far the best. It was my most entertained. The third episode is really good. Where it goes in the third episode, it's almost like Black Mirror-esque type of a turn in a way. so the third episode's my favorite, and the second episode is my least favorite. Second episode takes place on a ship. So it's Dracula. And the first episode is in Transylvania, and he's basically, his goal is to go to London because there's a lot more to eat there, a lot more to feed on, and he's withering away in Transylvania. So once he's gotten the opportunity to get out of Transylvania and go to London, he takes it. So the first episode's about him kind of regaining his strength in Transylvania and escaping. The second episode is Dracula on a ship to London. And the third episode takes place far in the future, which is more current day. So the previous two episodes took place in 1897-ish. And then the third episode takes place modern day. Because after the ship, he had to rest, and he rested for 400 years, it said. So I don't even know if that's even correct math-wise. Yeah, 97, then it would be 1997. Anyway, but the first episode is amazing. I just thought, like, as far as production-wise, it reminded me a lot of, like, there's a lot of practical effects in it, which I appreciated, and they went full practical effects. There's not a whole lot of CG. Well, maybe in some parts of it, but for the most part, it seemed like practical effects, and like had that 90s feel almost in the best way. But it is also, I think, after thinking about it, I would compare the production to be similar to like a UK type of show or miniseries, which I believe this was all done in the UK. But yeah, great. The guy who plays Dracula is great. Claes Bang. I'm not sure if that's correct pronunciation, but I thought he was great. The character of Dracula is written really interestingly. I don't know how much it has related to in the original Bram Stoker's Dracula, but he basically gains intelligence from the people that he feeds on. So as he's like eating different people, he's gaining their knowledge and like abilities to like speak different languages, or when he is in the future in the third episode, he's able to understand the world around him a lot more, which I thought was a really interesting kind of aspect to explaining how he could easily learn, or at least an aspect of the storytelling in this miniseries of how he can instantly kind of get up to speed on what's going on. But it gave him abilities to kind of deceive people on his journey, which I thought was interesting. His ability to kind of gain their knowledge through feeding on them. But also the end of this in the third episode, I thought was really interesting. How Sister Agatha is now she's Zoe Helsing, so part of the Van Helsings, I would imagine, which were, I believe, just guessing here, vampire hunters to some degree. So I don't know exactly how she's like just down the family line and she's still hunting vampires. I didn't really make that connection necessarily, how it jumps, but it's played by the same Dolly Wells, who's amazing still. But she basically breaks down like all of these tropes for vampires and Dracula, like being scared of the cross. It's because he fed on so many Christians. He inherited their fear of the mortality that they have, and because he's a vampire and he's immortal, he has like, it's like mental issues. He has like emotional trauma that's built up over like thousands of years, and it's all psychological, like the twist that it has where it's like all psychological stuff, like the sun isn't really cause him damage, like all the fears he has are like unfounded, kind of like almost OCD kind of like fears. And the way it's broken down is amazing. I really like it. I really enjoyed like the character. Sister Agatha, and I mean, she played really well against Dracula, and it's just a really fun kind of new take. I believe it's a new take on the Dracula story. So check it out on Netflix. 3 episodes. I enjoyed it. It was a fun binge. So go check it out. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow me on social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out.